Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rise of the Podcast. I'm Justin.
And I'm Darrell.
And I'm Brownie.
Yeah, and as you can see, Jeremy and Kara are nowhere to be found because the camera's over there, right?
Yep.
Because I've decided to kick them out of the building after our last glorious episode, and I found Darrell because I figured, you know what, if we're going to be spending a lot of time together now with this new show, I need someone who's going to have some games with him. So
right, something to do while we're on here. Yeah, and I'm always rummaging through the trash bin out back anyways, all raccoons. So, I mean, really, I'm just here. Yeah. So it works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Jeremy and Kara, by the way, they are just currently lost. What I did was I kicked them out of the building, and I just told them to keep walking straight, and you can find them somewhere on Highway 2 between here and Floodwood. Yeah.
And we did try to lure Jeremy back with a bowl of hard candies and black licorice, and he just didn't bite. He didn't take it. I thought the scent alone would, hit him.
So here's something that's hilarious. There's some people in chat that don't come around very. Juliet, I apologize that you finally get to see one of these live, and Jeremy and Kara aren't here. And Drew says, I've been listening to your show on Spotify for a long time. I'm happy to finally get to see you guys live.
Oh.
You know what's great? We should have...
Drew, thank you so much for listening to the show. These guys have both been on the show before. They're great. Jeremy and Kara are on vacation. And so the internet, of course, continues to be a rotten, horrible monster. But these guys are going to be filling in for them, and we're going to do a lot of the same type of stuff and a lot of different stuff.
No, now I regret it.
F in chat.
You know what we should have done, though? We should have...
There literally is an F in chat now.
We should have actually tried to sound like Jeremy and Kara at the beginning just to throw them off, because it's like, this is what we look like.
You know? I was going to wear a wig and everything else. It was going to be... like package rolls, tape rolls, and walk around with big long arms, so I could look like a normal sized person.
Hilarious.
Yeah. I'm from the Fire Nation.
I gotta say, I feel pretty powerful in this chair right now. Just nobody has ever sat in this chair besides Jeremy, right?
No, Brownie. What was the first thing I asked when I got there?
Keith has done one guest spot when Jeremy was overseas.
Oh, okay.
No, he was in Georgia. Sorry, but he was still gone. And so Kara and I did a couple of Just Us episodes, and then we had an episode where Keith did guest host. So you're tied for lead.
First thing, though, I asked is, do I get the big boy chair? And he said some swear words, which equated to a no. But I'm the only one who's had the floor cam. So that's kind of like my designated area. So,
and to the best of my knowledge, you're the only person who sat on both seats on the couch.
There you go.
Well,
so
you've unlocked master rank on the couch. Yeah, you're moving this way.
Sweet.
Hey, I was the only one during the Walmart effect who got to come in via high quality camera, not quite 4K Sony A6000, That was a great time. We're on the show too much, I think. So at this point, I think it makes sense that we take over.
Yeah, we're the natural successors after after that.
I have it written down on the back of the note card. If in case of Jeremy and Kara gone, please contact YouTube to run the podcast.
I like it.
Perfect. Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions for these guys, feel free to. So Justin, of course, is of Cinephile Studios and the Daily Cinephile. I watched the Doritos video, and I was like, "There's no way he's gonna be able to tell." And you were pretty accurate in which were spicy and which weren't.
It's actually kind of. I don't get the point of those chips because, you can't really tell, and I get that where it's it's kind of like a guessing game. But then I was like, who are these made for? Because if you don't like spicy chips, it's funny because you didn't know they were gonna be spicy, and it's like
the zombie Skittles almost, where you get a pungent one or what?
Yeah, well, yeah,
but they're both good flavors. It's just one
is just
regular nacho and then the spicy nacho.
It's weird,
because it's different.
Yeah, it's not like Cool Ranch versus nacho cheese. No, it's just spicier nacho or just regular nacho.
Yeah, it's not like lemon and barbecue or something where it's really light. No, okay.
I think that would have been a better idea, something or kind of like those jelly beans where some of them are really gross.
The box every flavor. Yeah,
right. They should have done something like that. But.
Also, for people wondering that weird laughter in the background, is my sister is also sitting in on the podcast. So Justin, Cinephile, Daily Cinephile, Darrell of All Hallows Eve fame, of course, All Hallows Eve taking the jump seat there.
What do you know?
And
when did that get there?
Yeah. And Gwen of Stuff Lab Fames. Everybody here has their own YouTube channel, except for me.
Well, but you're too. You're our dealer.
Hey, wait a minute. If I get comments from you, that means you do have a YouTube channel.
Oh, that's true.
So,
that's my personal account that like 18 people follow.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's a YouTuber.
Yep.
Welcome.
Yeah.
This is it.
Swanky says we've got a live laugh track now. That's okay. So doing the deep dive into the archives of the history of this show, the reason I even have a microphone is because for the first like 5 or so episodes, I would just be running the sound, making a thing, and then like they'd say something ridiculous, and I'd laugh, and there's this weird disembodied non-mic laugh coming from somewhere. Yeah. Then, no, get him a mic or whatever, so you can put his 2 cents in, and then evolved into this. I have so many hats.
Yeah, views have gone down substantially, but now we know where the laughter comes from. So it's
freaking Jeremy doing his best to derail the podcast from here. RPG is Rise of the Podcast Gaming, not Brownie's personal gaming channel. I just happen to have the only content on there right now. So there's going to be a Nuzlocke coming up with that.
Sweet. I'm excited.
Oh my goodness. All right, well, so we're only dropping about 70% of our frames. So we're looking about average.
So what speed can I go to make it look normal?
So 70, so like you can move like once every like 6 or 7 frames.
Okay. How do you move a frame?
So that's like, it's like every. Yeah, you're fine.
You guys
basically what it
tell
does is
me.
it freezes and then does this for about a second and then it freezes again.
Chris
What you should do treat it like a strobe light.
Oh, sure.
Chris is like, I'm into cameras and such, so I tell time by frames. That's how I do it. Yeah. Okay.
We're
Sorry.
at about 4,000 frames.
Oh man, I got something in my eye, so I'm gonna just keep doing that. So please don't let that diverge.
Yeah,
from
no, good.
what we're talking about.
Tell us
get
more
it.
about this eye.
I'm there for you.
Oh man, so it's literally like I feel like I'm gonna keep doing this, and then if I ever watch back to the episode, I'm gonna be like, I'm a nut. But anyway.
Well, here's the thing though, like if you're in that chair, you kind of long, barely connected story.
Oh yeah.
For about 20 minutes, which is I'm
Yeah.
good at that as well. But yeah. So I don't know, but yeah. So if you need me to help you with the eye or whatever, being
Yeah.
your co-host, I'll do that for you. I know they've got
thank
like
you.
that husband-wife thing going there, and
And you guys have just met like 20 minutes ago.
You know what? I was
longer than some relationships. So.
because I figured I'm like they got good chemistry just because they're married. And I was figuring I was thinking of actually calling you and being like not only being like, hey, maybe we should hang out before we do the show, but then that was like after like maybe 3 times hanging out because we're gonna hang out a lot during the week. I was like, do you want to maybe go get married and really see where this chemistry goes?
I mean, why not do that first? Because if it works, then it's not this big stress and everything down the road.
That's true. We should get married first and then work the chemistry after that.
Well, the chemistry just comes from being married is the thing. It's like this reservoir of camaraderie that just dumps down on you guys.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. I've never met a dating couple who has chemistry. They only get it once to get married. That's the magic. Dating advice via Rise of the Podcast.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoy.
Take it to the bank.
That's what we're really here for. Now we got you guys in this for 15 minutes. You're locked, you're loaded. It's time for marital advice.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, where are we at right now?
Psych, it's not going to be Star Wars advice, it's relationship advice.
You know what? Hey, you know what? I'm going to throw this out there. I'm going to go for it. Last time I was on the show, I was disappointed that we didn't get to do Star Wars leaks.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what we should do? We should do it right away. We should change it up. Unless, he did it. Okay, so that means that's a yes. We should just get into it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'll talk some Star Wars. I haven't been as on the pulse lately, but I'll talk some Star Wars leaks.
Your heartbeat isn't on the pulse of the internet like Jeremy's.
That's my favorite phrase ever. No, I like sometimes try to think of that phrase because I'm like I want to say it right now, but how does he say it? Because it's like it's one of his
very
many
specific.
Yeah, he's very good. I actually have no clue what's going on in Star Wars either, except for Bad Batch, and
haven't watched it yet.
I watched the first few episodes. It's good.
Is it?
I mean, as someone who hasn't seen the Clone Wars, it's good.
Hey, sell me on it. Give me an elevator pitch on it real quick. You're like, hey, there's this little guy in the elevator. I'm going to talk to him because he's not a child.
Well, I guess
to the best of my knowledge.
I guess the only way I can explain it is I know of the characters from the Clone Wars, having not seen the Clone Wars. It's like the weird clones. They're the weird ones, kind of the ones that got messed up.
Would you almost say they might be the Bad Batch of clones.
Yeah, the Bad Batch. That's a good way to say it.
I was okay.
Thank you,
Yeah,
studio executive. That's a good name for the. Anyway, but yeah, they it's after Order 66. So it's basically them trying to decide after Order 66, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep following these rules, or do we agree with them? Because we've already had a weird past existence where we haven't really listened to the authority as much. So then they kind of break off on their own, and it's kind of the part of Star Wars I've always wanted to see. Like, what happened after Order 66, and how was the Empire able to consolidate power and get some of the systems to be on their side? And
that'd be cool.
You get that, and you get, like, Tarkin's in there before he was an admiral. I don't know what his position is at this point.
Yeah,
he's like a janitor or something. No,
yeah, well, I for some reason keep thinking he's a lawyer but he's not. He's like
is like
some
a lawyer,
jerk
though.
on a ship or something. He's like a counselor, some word.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of janitors, does it start where they're like mopping up the Padawans and they're like, oh, the sheet. What a big office oopsie that was.
I think they just burned down the temple and called it a loss.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I would have just shut that door and locked it and just threw the key away. And
this is prime real estate in Coruscant that nobody ever tries to do anything with.
Right.
It's haunted by about 1,000 Force ghosts.
I was gonna say, like, actually, if you watch the special edition of Return of the Jedi, the temple's still in there.
Oh,
the temple.
That's right.
The temple still exists, but it would be kind of neat to know what exactly happened with the temple because
you know, it'd be hilarious. They turned it into apartments like all the old schools around here.
Oh, good, yeah.
Oh, who would get that? Like one room though, where they taught the younglings and everything. Like, who would
some
get that?
freak like me?
Daycare center.
You'd be like, I can hear the screams in the walls. Neat. Yeah.
So I was gonna say that's what you would hear. You'd be like, sometimes I'm just sitting here and suddenly I hear like, "There's too many of them. What are we going to do?" And I just hear screams in the background.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
The world's best alarm clock, honestly.
I need more info on the Star Wars real estate universe. Frankly.
So my depth of knowledge for Star Wars, and I think I brought this up one other time too, is through the X-Wings game. Because of course, naturally, I view everything through the lens of a game. So So there are some like people that I know via the game, like, oh hey, no, I know them from this, and they have this cool maneuver action. Everyone looks at me like, what are you talking about? So
it gives you +3 initiative. Come on, guys, it's epic.
So cool. Yeah. So you get a force token off of that, and I'm watching the dog fights, and not being like a big like Motorhead. It's weird for me to be so into the ships of the Star Wars universe, but like that's what I dig. And then through that, I found out more about the different crime syndicates and all of that. And of course, I watched everything growing up, and I knew, but I had friends who like dwarfed my Star Wars knowledge, so I was never like, if I got a question, I'll ask them. I never felt the need to dive into it. So, do they have anything to do with any of the crime syndicates so far?
Yeah, I guess of the episodes that I've watched, I don't know if I've gotten to that quite yet.
Because I would expect after like a big fall or something like that, they may show up, and I don't know if that's something that they're going to touch on again. Well, but with Maul being back.
Well, yeah. So there's two things. So there's the Maul angle, like he's running this crime syndicate, but also Book of Boba, which is teased at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Boba Fett might be running some sort of criminal organization out of Jabba's palace now. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the end of season 2, but it's been a minute.
Well, you've seen The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
So the lady that out with Boba Fett, character's name, I am sorry, Jeremy and Kara, don't come after.
Yeah.
See, Chris doesn't know either, so it's all
we're
good.
good.
My job is to push buttons, not know Star Wars
Good.
things.
Okay,
good. So we're in good company.
I get
at
splashed by Star Wars stuff. And it's like I pick up some of it, but then other parts of it I'm like, hey, Jeremy, what's that
Harry
thing?
Potter, Lord of the Rings, and I think we mentioned a little bit of those. Like those, we can do that. Star Wars? Space Wizards?
I'm trying to think because it's like the next episode, I feel like it's going to be Kara and Jeremy basically us. It's like, all right, so
actually,
pause the episode there. See that? No, that's not what happened.
not what-
The next episode is going to be Rise of the Podcast reacts to Rise of the Podcast, episode 111.
Well, like,
with an even worse internet connection.
right.
yeah, we're good.
Like, okay, the lady from that show though, she shows up at one point and she's like a straight up bounty hunter, like going after this younger girl, because there's this younger girl character, and then there's I'm trying to remember the other episodes now. I just remember that one really sticking out.
So they
what's his name? Forrest Whitaker's character.
Yeah.
He's also shows up. He was also in the Clone Wars and Rebels.
Yep.
So he's been kind of all over the place.
Okay.
Of course, don't know it. What is his name?
So what we're gonna do is after this is all done, you're gonna go back and post and be like, instead of Forrest Whitaker's character, you'd be like, Bibbly Bobbly.
Yeah,
And you're
Jeremy,
just gonna,
Kara,
like,
tell us names. We need Boba Fett's girlfriend, and we need the guy that Forrest Whitaker played. Go. I know both of their names, I just can't think of either.
Oh yeah.
Saw Gerrera.
Saw
Saw
Gerrera.
Gerrera. That was his name. He shows up in the first episode, and that kind of I think starts his whole.
Is it Fennec Shand? Is that the? No.
Oh, you're trying to figure out the other
The
lady's
bounty
name?
hunter lady.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
And I know her because I think I used her ship.
Just do.
It's just cool because you
Beverages.
get to see these characters before they like show up in those other shows, and it's kind of cool because in her case she wasn't quite this way.
Yeah.
In Mandalorian, she's kind of calmed down a lot at that point, but in this one, she's bounty hunter. She's crazy. She's really trying to go after
it's
this
sniper chick, right? The one that's always
Yeah.
up on something. And I know I do fly her ship, and I don't remember what her name is. My buddy Jeffy, if he's watching.
It is. I was right.
Oh hey, you got one.
Hey,
What is her name?
Fennec Shand.
This is is the best Star Wars show on the planet.
This
like,
is.
we could just,
Okay,
we're just
so
like,
Jeremy commented. We immediately we did the graphic for Star Wars Leagues and immediately tangented off of it.
you can search Star Wars League. We just go
Yeah.
for it. But like, yeah, Bad Batch. Start watching. I haven't, like
okay.
I said, I haven't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, but
Well,
I'm
so-
enjoying.
By episode 6, like they're really like they're doing the thing with all shows where like they have to like set up all the blocks and everything, and now like they're starting to set up stuff that's gonna be like big. Mm-hmm. So like I'm really excited. I didn't watch episode 7 yet because Jeremy will be here, so I decided to just save it for a little bit later.
Yeah.
I started. This is another tangent now. I
Go for
started
it.
watching Loki as I was going to bed the other night, and
Yeah.
I was like, "This is I need to watch
Right.
what's happening, and I'm gonna miss something."
Your head. So, and especially what we may be speaking on a little bit later. How I'm going to say spoilers for Loki, and I won't go into super details, but you see it right away because he's being pulled away from the Tesseract, so we know it's.
Oh gosh!
Oh,
Don't pay attention to any of that.
yeah, I got it. Those force children.
Just wipe it off the
Yeah.
screen.
We're doing C+ work today.
This is the world's greatest podcast.
You know,
ladies
just
and
because
gentlemen.
Kara and Jeremy are gone doesn't mean you get to slack off. You know what?
Here's the thing.
I
just
forgot
wanted
that
to
I
be like,
macroed game controls.
Do
to
your
the colon
unpaid
and
job better.
semicolon things.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to type grammatically correct and reply to people, and it's like, oh no, we're gonna launch the scorecard for the IMDb game instead.
I was like, oh, we're getting into the game. Sweet. I was instantly like,
Yeah, I'm just gonna let me stop you there. It's game time.
That would be real awesome if you quickly got into just game mode, just stopped what you're doing. You're like, got your board, and you're like, all right.
all right, we're good. Yeah. So you have to like. They kind of toe around it, but like Loki doesn't know the events of the future stuff going on when he starts. So you've watched Loki through the MCU, and you're like, oh, he's kind of learned his lesson. He's turned, but you're going back to that real schmarmy, like just got beat for the first time Avengers Loki. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if they pulled it off in the beginning quite as well. They didn't sell it to me that he was like just got captured for the first time Loki. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, it is great. I think it's going to be really good. But it took me out a little bit because, like, I'm like, he should be acting just a little bit more arrogant, a little bit different than he was. And maybe it was just my watching of it. Still phenomenal. And I think it's going to be a super, super fun series. But, yeah. And by the end of the episode, they fix that so they don't have to worry about it ever again. In a typical MCU sort of way. You're like,
Nice.
oh, all right, whatever.
Yeah.
So,
No, I mean, I really dug that first episode. And, just because, like, with WandaVision, it ended up being, it was good, but it wasn't doing everything that I was expecting. That's kind of my fault. But with Loki, I was like, all right, I'm just going to go into this fresh. It's just a fun Loki show. I've never been, like, in love with that character, but really have started to like him after Thor Ragnarok. So I was like, all right. So, yeah, like you said, you had to start paying attention because I was just sitting there on the couch, like, and then, like, I rewatched the episode with Stella then because I had to watch it because I had seen a slight spoiler. And I was like, I need to watch this because apparently this show is just right from the beginning going crazy. And it makes sense.
Yeah.
They have the writer of this show. After they wrote this show, basically they were like, we're doing a second season without even airing an episode. And then they had that person write Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
So that
it's
it's going to be lock and key.
yeah, and that means to me, though, that they
Interesting.
really like this show. So it's like, and they've been promoting it like crazy.
They
So they're
really
like,
have.
sorry about my phone, I'll turn it off.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah.
fun. That's not the most distracting thing that's happened so far tonight. That's for sure.
I'm the most distracting thing. I get it. I'm quite a treat. Might be fun size, but
Oh my goodness.
We could do Star Wars leaks.
yeah.
All right,
Star
I
Wars
have
leaks.
a Star Wars leak. I got it pulled up on my phone because the internet's reliable on there.
Surprise, surprise! Something's working. All right.
So there is an Actors for Actors segment where Ewan McGregor talks about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series with Pedro Pascal, put out by Variety. I have it saved into my watch later because I saw it on YouTube and it looks like it's going to be pretty good. But so people are talking about that.
Pascal is Mandalorian.
Yep. I don't know why this is in Star Wars leaks, but there's a. But this is so today is the 40th anniversary of Raiders of the Lost Ark apparently.
Oh.
All right, yeah. I mean, well, C-3PO and R2-D2 are on the engravings on the wall.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Star
So
Wars.
apparently there is a photo dump with pictures from the set of Indiana Jones 5.
Wait, what? Wait,
Well,
legit?
it's weird
What?
that they're jumping to 5 because they never made a 4.
Yeah, it is strange.
It's
but,
weird that
well,
they
so 4 in China, 4 sounds like death. So maybe they knew the Chinese market's important. Can't make a 4th one.
That's true.
I need to figure this out. Which okay, so
It's like skipping the 13th floor.
Yeah.
my decade is I was born in the 90s. Are you
90.
early 90s?
Yeah, I'm spot on 90.
90.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
so you didn't like see Indiana Jones as it happened, but you like
no,
grew
but
up
I
with
was
them?
like in the heat of it still.
So when
Yeah.
like 2008 came, Indiana Jones 4, you were like one of the.
So I'll tell you the sad story.
I would love to hear it. No, because I say that because it's like I dig the 4th one, and I don't like it as much now, but I'd like to hear
It's
what
been
your
real good.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I was like, while you're up, go turn my
No,
phone
he-
I was like, oh no, I must turn on another microphone.
No, so my sad story of that is, and mind you, I've only given it one shot, which is more than it deserved. But
I saw it in theaters.
yeah, me too. Me and my friend John Moen, let's flash back. Whoa, it's 2008.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo.
Oh, I can still
weird
feel feelings.
graphics.
Oh, hey, yeah. No, I've got the new.
Oh god, turn everything off. There we go.
Got it.
We
And I was
flashed
waving
back,
my
guys.
Here, I'll do this too, so my face can be seen. So we timed it out to the minute. How long it would take to go out, or we could binge the first 3 movies back to back. Drive there, get our popcorn, watch the 4th one for the first showing here in
Nice.
Cloquet. And it was that point by the 3rd one, I was like feeling ill from sitting and staring at a screen for so long. I'm like, I'm just gonna power through, and there's gonna be a new indie. And it's gonna be so great. Shyla the Booth is gonna be there, and it's gonna be wonderful. And perhaps that marred my viewing because like I had already was like slog through it, and I get there, and by the time I was done, we were just like, bye. Like there wasn't anything, and we were so excited for it. The ant scene is pretty cool. I know a lot of people actually give the ant scene grief, but it's one of the big ones that sticks out to me. As like a proper Indiana Jones kill, in a way, because I mean they were kind of pseudo horror movies. I would say I'd lump them in that category. I do fully believe that Home Alone is also a horror movie. And I will die on that hill. But you know, it threw a lot of some of like the older lore out the door. It didn't feel as genuine. It felt more like a cash grab. But I'll say this. I watched it once in 2008 after watching like 7 hours of movies. So maybe it's not the best way to have gone into it. What do you
that's
like about
fair.
it? What did you like about it?
Yeah, well, because the ant scene actually freaked me out when I was younger, and I like the idea of finding interdimensional beings because it kind of goes in line with all the other indie movies where they kind of find a different artifact from a different religion, and then I like that the ending of the movie always ends up being, oh look, that religion also kind of technically exists, so it's just all kind of existing all at once. I don't know. I like that adventure aspect that they throw into the 50s, where they did that with the originals in the 30s, paying tribute to the serials. This one, it took it to the 50s, really paid tribute to what was going on during the 50s, and also tied a lot to sci-fi movies of the time.
Yep.
So that all worked for me. But rewatching it nowadays, the only things that really throw me off is that, like you said, it doesn't feel as genuine. Not like even in a cash grab way, but just more in a, they're really trying to recreate this feeling, and it's like you can't always do that, and it's almost too clean of a looking movie.
Yes.
I wish.
Yes.
So it looks plasticky to me.
Yeah.
Like, the
that's
originals were like
really-
gritty and dirty, and like they were just using like firecrackers in the dirt for bullet hits.
It's the Star Wars problem.
and this is just like they took all their shiny new computers and like, let's do everything in post.
And it's not even like just a CG. It almost kind of looks like they did like a CG scrub to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even like the
Yeah.
act. And I almost wonder like if we just took like an Instagram filter to make it more gritty, if it
might
would
be.
almost be more appealing
There
to
are.
watch.
I mean, it's kind of like the Ninja Turtles movies. For whatever reason, the second most recent live action one, they were a little less horrific, and I can't tell you why. But the second Ninja Turtle movie, I actually dug. You know, it is the world's okayest movie.
Right there.
Right
That's a good
Spot on.
review.
Bebop and Rocksteady killed it in that. I still think that's super cool represent. Anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, I agree. Where it was, I think they're like, yes, we've got this new tech, let's do that. It's the same thing that happened to Star Wars. I got an out of Gwen, so I know I'm right. Where they're like, we've got all this stuff. We don't have to hand make this. We don't have to do this. This is my biggest problem with a lot of movies is there's not as much physical special effects done anymore, and it takes away where that you can see them putting that back into the Mandalorian and how much more that brings you back to the true feel of like watching the original three. Like special effects for like Jim Olgela is a guy I know. He did Strange Nature out of Minnesota here, and he, you know, his whole thing is like he had very little CGI. It was all puppets and these gnarly dogs and stuff. I mean, it was really well done, and it there's something to it, even in the reactions, no matter how good CGI is, of like physically seeing something there. I don't know. Yeah.
Wasn't that one of the major, like, takeaways from the remake of I think it was The Thing?
Yes.
Instead of using a physical prop, they decided to use CGI to make them.
That's actually incorrect. They
Is
did
it-
it with all real stuff, and a producer demanded that they juice it with CGI.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say I thought
okay.
they did
Yeah,
actually
I
try
thought it was-
They
right.
wanted to match what Carpenter did, and they did it with all practical stuff. And if you look at like the unedited footage, it looks really good.
So once they
And then-
started tinkering is when
Yeah. Then a producer came in and was like, "We gotta hammer this even more."
It
and then
probably
they
looked too
CGI
much
it.
like an '80s movie, and they're like, "No, we can't have that released because that looks old." And it's like, cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. So instead, they made it look like crap. So.
Well, in
Brad says I like Kara's beard. You did it, Brad.
Thanks. Had I known in time what our subject might be for tonight, I should have kept it and just left the mustache for well, we'll get into it later. I won't spoil it. But
Wait, we're gonna recreate the battle or something? Alrighty, let's do it.
Let's let's get there. I'm Kara. I'm Fire Nation. Anyways, I'm gonna slip that in here as many times as I can because she's not here to defend herself. So start a flame war, but like she would because she's Fire Nation.
Fire, yep.
So
Can you put your mic just a little bit closer?
yes,
There you go,
there we go.
You can push it down a little bit too, but there you go. That's it. Right
There, perfect. All right. Had we not been panicking over internet right before this, we would have probably got that.
We didn't have a chance to do a bike check.
No.
I'm assuming you guys are in focus for the
Yeah,
most
I hope
part.
this isn't like too close because it's like
But speaking on the fourth movie, I was listening to a podcast called Halloweenies, which I really suggest. They take all the horror movies, like the big, like classic 80s, and they dissect them really, really well. And they're talking about the problem with a lot of fourth movies is that by that point,
Oh gosh darn it!
there are things.
Sorry.
the bright yellow screen keeps killing
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I have to unmacro those buttons. I'm sorry. I'm trying to interact with chat a little bit while you're telling your story, and I'm just totally messing everything up.
But there is this problem of they start paying homage to themselves. They're like, oh, this was a joke. This is something that the fans really liked, and it's been in the first two movies. So now or three movies. Now we have to have it in the fourth movie, where the fourth movie almost becomes like a meme of itself. They're like, we have to tell the story, but we need to find this moment where this certain thing happens because it's been in the other three and people are going to expect it, and if we don't get it, they're going to be ticked off. So I think a bit of that happened with Indiana Jones 2 and other fourths where, you know, you just get it where they're like, oh, we have to have a moment where this XYZ things happens, and it's not as genuine that way to me because they're not making the movie to make the movie. They're making the movie to force in some puns and, you know, fill it with the rest of their plot. But
Did you? What did you think of the fridge?
you know,
I referenced the fridge scene earlier today. Somebody was talking about, or it was last night. There's one of the Wolfenstein sequels. They're talking about how the main character shouldn't be alive because he would have died in an atomic blast.
Oh.
He got called into this thing. He's like, he probably just jumped into a fridge like Indiana Jones.
I don't know. I didn't hate it as much as a lot of folks did.
Some people say it ruins the movie, and I'm like, I kind of like it because it stays in tone with what Indiana Jones has always done. Really wacky, like
last-minute survival things. I would agree. I don't think it was off character for him.
He would have broke every bone.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about the blast. Like, I think he actually could have survived the blast, possibly. I don't want to get into a science debate, but sure, let's say he survived. He still would have broke every bone. It wouldn't have mattered.
Right, but I mean, like, quick thinking on Indiana Jones, be like, well, this is my best option I've got. Might as well give that a shot. I mean, it's not like there hasn't been wacky survival moments in the other ones either. It's just, for some people, I think it jumped the shark too much, which...
It became its own jump. It was called Nuke the Fridge. That's what they changed it to for a while, Oh, that scene, that nuked the fridge,
Yeah.
You know, on your point, too, about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the Out of the Shadows, I believe it was. I always want to say Out of the Shell, which makes no sense. Cause, like,
kill them. Their spines are attached to those puppies.
I dug that movie, too. Like, it was weird to me that it was, like, one of the least grossing of the series because... And it kind of ended the Paramount remakes or whatever, or reboots or whatever, because... I actually thought that movie did everything everybody's been wanting out of these movies for a long time. Like you said, Bebop and Rocksteady, Krang, and a better Shredder. Like, it just kind of was like...
They got the voice right on Krang, too. It was like, Shredder, what are you doing?
It was, like, way overblown still, but it was like, this actually feels like, you know, from what I've seen of the cartoon, this is it. This is totally it.
Had that been the first movie, we'd be on movie 4 by now talking about that. I think. Oh, Seth.
Hold on.
What?
What's going on with those figures there?
What? No, I stood these up a long time ago.
Did you?
Yeah.
Jeremy just commented asking what is...
So what I was trying to do was Okay, so what I was trying to do is... So the stormtrooper here, I was trying to get his leg to kind of go up onto the sand person's... you know, like up here?
Yeah.
Tusken Raider, my bad. But, you know, I was going to have it do like a fancy dance where, like, you know, the lady can sometimes get her leg that high while they're doing like the waltz. But I couldn't quite get it, so I just have him holding him up.
Kicking him in the balls, it looks like.
We got a new dance move.
There's he's going to miss him, but he's trying to kick him there anyway.
Right.
Well, and then it's like the Tusken, his arm really should be up right now so he can go do his classic, you know.
Well, there's some old comedy bit where someone's like, here, hold my leg, and they just like put their leg in somebody's hand. That's outside. I don't know what it is, but that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah, why do I know? No, I've heard that one.
But right,
Costello? I don't know.
It's that's the first thing that comes to my mind too. I don't remember what Man Who Comes to Dinner, The Man Who Came to Dinner, I think I was in. Don't remember the name. But yeah, I had
Were you the man who came to dinner?
I was not the man who came to dinner. I was one of the many wacky characters that did show up though. And I handed my leg to somebody on stage. I was like, hey, hold this, kid. And like, I don't know, but apparently like
comedy in the 20s was weird.
Oh,
I don't know. I've seen this. Like, I swear to God,
you're right.
This is a thing.
Okay, well, Chris, you're out of the loop.
It was a joke in high school. I'm pretty sure.
And you're older than both of us. You should know this. You're closer.
I've forgotten more wacky things. I'm just gonna.
You're too old. You're too old. You can't. You know, I was actually
to begin the trade.
Going back to like old like things or like weird things that maybe people haven't seen or heard. I was talking to a friend today who were like, "Oh, I was out in the field kicking some in the field." Chucking some dog turds, and I was like, he was like, what is that? And I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard someone say that one time. So if anyone out there has heard that one, because I swear that's a thing.
Well, now it's our new Rise of the Podcast. When we take over, our Rise of the Podcast slogan will be chucking turds, chucking dog turds,
chucking dog turds since 2019.
Yeah,
you should go back to Star Wars leaks for the third one, and fourth and fifth. But I do want to add, you dropped Jim Ojola's name, which you should try to get him on the show if he's ever around. I think he actually does. He lives in California.
He's in California. Yeah.
Do you know him personally?
Yes. Yep. He's a old friend of my uncle's. So quite a bit. But yeah. So
I added him on Facebook a long time ago just off a whim because I knew he was in the movie. He was like the first movie person I knew from when Strange Nature was coming out. I own the movie. I've seen it. It's crazy stuff. But
way back when, for the movie. But I was still the same size, and then it was just like...
Did you still show up to the audition? Like,
No, I didn't. I should have.
E.T. like sweatshirts, and you're like, no, I can do it, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I fitted the child's clothing.
I got a little bit of chat to catch up on.
Oh, sure.
So Brad said the fridge, this is the Indiana Jones fridge, was fun and campy. It reminds me of the Iron Man scene where Tony falls like 5,000 feet and doesn't break anything.
Yeah.
And then Swanky says, I believe that surviving the blast is possible, but in a few years he'll be all bloated and cancerous from the radiation.
Maybe that will be the 5th movie. Just him in a nursing home, dying.
Did I ever tell you guys about the Ark?
Because he's growing like a 3rd arm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's all these messages about getting kicked in the balls. Okay.
I didn't realize.
That's not what I was trying to do. I promise. I'm not being a 4-year-old about this. I was trying to get him to dance like a lady. So I was being an 8-year-old about it, not a 4-year-old.
Jeremy went on his own riff thing here. He's like, do Tuscans even have balls? He's like, maybe they all do. The women and the children too.
Just like dwarves and beards. And...
Yep.
And the women and children.
Swanky says these guys' tangents drift more than a car in Fast and the Furious.
Hey, they haven't even had cars in Fast and Furious in quite a while, so
that's fair.
Slanderous.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! All right, you ready for Star Wars leak number 3?
Yeah. We'll see how long it takes us to get to the juice of this one.
So, Ben Mendelsohn of Rogue One is returning for the Andor Disney Plus series.
Really? Okay. I love him. He's awesome in most things. All things. I mean, I don't know. He's a great actor. Very underrated. He's very good at playing a villain because he was also in Ready Player One. But he was actually the good guy in Captain Marvel. But he's shown up in a couple things, and I like him.
Nice.
So this is the Ben Mendelsohn fan club chair right here. But yeah.
Do like an in memoriam.
Yeah.
Pre-memoriam, just in case.
Pre-memoriam.
And Keith Kellogg on Twitter said the latest episode of The Bad Batch was definitely one of the most complex episodes we've ever done. So this is this is 7 days old, so this is about episode 6, not 7. The droid factory took a lot of coordination from design to lighting. I'm proud of our entire team for this one. I don't think saying that there's a droid factory is a spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it.
Wow.
But that whole sequence
Spoiled
is
not
pretty
watching
nuts.
now.
Yep, I plugged my ears, but it was too late. I didn't even know there were droids in Star Wars.
This droid factory's new to me. I never saw Attack of the Clones.
Oh my goodness. Might as well get number 5 out of the way too here. Bosk is going to appear in the Book of Boba Fett.
Thank God. The return of Bosk.
Sweet.
So he's going to go up from 15 seconds of screen time to...
Yeah, is he going to say something beyond?
Here's the thing. Bosk has some really good ships in X-Wings. I flew Bosk for a while, too. I'm a Scum and Villainy fan for anybody out there. Although they haven't released a new one in 2 years, but... Yeah.
I shouldn't even mock Bosk because they brought IG-88, I believe. They brought him back, a version of him or whatever. And awesome. Like, they actually showed why that weird, that robot from Empire Strikes Back can actually do something. Because you look at him and you're like, he's going to fall over.
Yeah. That thing,
And then he shows up in
Stiff
Mandalorian and he's
breezes.
just spinning around and doing and I was like, okay.
Right, yeah.
I understand why Darth Vader trusted this man now, or robot or thing. Yeah,
Right.
it makes
way
sense.
that the IG robots move is my absolute favorite. IG-11 is my favorite character from The Mandalorian.
Okay, is there an IG-88 or
IG-88 is the one on Darth Vader's ship in Empire
Okay.
Strikes Back, and IG-11's the one that puts himself into a river of lava to save everybody.
Can we assume that IG-88 didn't show up because he tragically passed away after falling over on
On the highway.
They didn't have a ramp. He was trying to walk down some stairs and he just went clunk.
Well, do you notice in the Star Wars universe they don't put railings anywhere?
No.
That's the one failure of the well, there's many, but the one big failure of the Empire. I hope there was someone at one of the New Republic meetings and they're like, can we just get a few more railings?
The Emperor died from no railings.
Yeah, I mean, how many people get yeeted off the side of these things? And it's think it's a galaxy far, far, long time ago. So maybe railings just weren't a thing.
Yeah, OSHA wasn't around to make them install.
Wait. The one where the Emperor fell over did have a railing. So actually, that one completely didn't have a
apparently not a
purpose.
very good one if he fell over it.
Yeah,
So it's gotta be
if you're one Darth
substantially
Vader
high.
lift away from getting tossed over
It'd be great is
Hey, I'm one Darth Vader lift away from dying in a lot of different things.
The whole plot of Rise of Skywalker should have been the Emperor coming back. He's like, I'm talking railings, high railings, super high, and unformidable railings. Like, you can't go through them.
Yes.
I need railings.
Yeah, see, he was all worried about offense and these things that'll blow up planets. What he really needed was something to stop tragedies from occurring.
You know that thing that he's like hooked up to that's like making him like fly around or whatever? Maybe he built that so like if he was thrown over something, he'd be caught. It's like it's actually a bungee cord.
What I want to know is what is that connected to? It's so big and they never show.
Isn't it great? That's what I love about J.J. Abrams is that he just shows all this stuff. He shows it off like there's got this big history to it, and then we'll never find out.
Right. It's that fridge moment where you open the door at the fridge at night. I think it's Adam Savage that says that, and you don't realize until you like get in the milk, and you're like, wait a minute, right? Like, what is that huge thing attached to? Why? But
it's probably attached to the smoke monster from Lost.
Okay,
let's not
we have to bring it all back.
I'm doing my best to stay on course now. Getting a little squirrely at the wheel, but yeah, I like that in movies too, where I don't want everything explained. I don't need everybody's backstory, and I don't need every intricate detail. Sometimes I like the Dizika's space and space magic and space technology.
We did talk about that a little bit last week, where Kara wanted to bring Darth Maul back again and do another series and do like a whole series about him being a crime boss, and I was like, I know enough about Darth Maul at this point. Like, he's a cool character, and it's like they used him a lot, not too much, but they used him a lot in Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And then they brought him back at the end of Solo, and he's like appears in a couple other things. It's like I'm ready to be a cool bad guy because like you run into that thing where it's like we know literally the entire life story of Darth Vader at this point, and like there's no way he'll ever have that amount of intimidation and cachet and coolness like he had in the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
Now because everybody knows that he hates sand and like all this stuff, right?
My respirator.
No matter how much cool stuff you show him doing now, it's like he's been too humanized to be just a stone cold evil villain.
Right. It's like, do we really need to see like Maul like grow the horns and become what he is? Like,
precisely.
Well, like Michael Myers in like the first movies, he wasn't this huge, intimidating guy. Anyways, maybe some huge guy came and stepped
He was like 5'8". He's huge.
Anybody over 5'5" is huge for me. But like to see him like pick something, my uncle Jeremy says this all the time. He's like, to see him like pick somebody up and like stick him to a wall. If we want to talk, like, how is that knife holding that guy up?
Right.
By like probably this much of the tip in there because of the chat. Anyways, we're not going to get into it. But like he was more intimidating. Then you get the Rob Zombie thing, and it's just big hulking dude, and it's like, well, yeah, no duh, he's gonna rip the fillings out of that guy because he's massive. But like, it's scary.
All he did in that psych ward was just get ripped.
yeah.
There's something freakier about like the original, because it's like it's just he's tall and that's about it. But like he's like also deadly. And then, well, actually, I'm trying to remember. Is it the fourth or the fifth movie where his mask looks really weird and that always threw me off?
It's the fourth, I believe.
Where his like hair got like slicked back or something, and I was like, "What happened, Michael?"
They didn't
like
beat up as much.
If we could go on about Halloween, I like that series, but I think I like it just for how confusing the timeline is because they just kind of it seems like with every movie they're like all the other ones don't matter. No, it's
every time they retcon the others out of existence.
Let's bring Jamie Lee Curtis back again.
Isn't it funny? Like they already literally did exactly what they in 2018. They already did that in H2O, and then it's like, I don't know, it makes me think, like, you just do this every 20 years, like, oh, you know what, reset it, bring her back, and then let's cancel another movie. Pretty soon it's gonna be like the first Halloween didn't exist. Like, this is just the first Halloween movie. But it's like if maybe Jamie Lee Curtis never ever ran into Michael, and this is the first time, and it's like, wow, this is a new take. I really hope with like,
don't give them ideas.
I hope with like the next two movies they actually end it. Like, let's actually see them be done, and then don't bring back like, oh, but she had like a daughter after she died, and have a stupid trilogy about that. And Paul Rudd shows up, and
it's like their kids are killed. Yeah,
didn't like Paul Rudd like defeat Michael Myers? Like, wasn't like that the last one for a while? Like the sixth movie didn't
Paul Rudd can do it. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, Ant-Man can beat up a lot of people.
I mean, it was like I think he literally all he had like was a pipe, and he just beat them to hell, and that was it. That was the last movie.
Yep.
I think it was like that in the producer's cut too. It's just both cuts. It's like Paul Rudd. Like it's like you put like this chart of like Michael Myers can defeat, like it's like that this or that kind of
Oh,
symbol,
yeah.
and it's like he could defeat this like Paul Rudd's over here, but Paul Rudd
Yeah.
with pipe,
With pipe. Can't
not even a pipe wrench, like just a pipe.
locked into a burning building and yet survives. And yeah, but then Paul Rudd. Yeah, speaking of Ant-Man, Paul Rudd, I've been told that I'm not Paul Rudd, I'm not Ant-Man, but I am Ant-Man. Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. They're like, you're that doofy dad who nerds out about all the superheroes. You just kind of like happen to show up and bumble your way through everything. And I can't remember who said that to me, but I was like, thanks?
Yeah.
I think? Sure. I'll do it.
Being
Whatever.
compared to Paul Rudd is not a. It is a.
Yeah,
it's
I guess.
it's a
yeah.
positive.
I guess. I usually get like Steve Carell or Ben Stiller.
I buy that. You're
Yeah.
like a combination.
Yeah.
I buy that.
If they melded.
Yeah. Oh wow.
They fusion danced.
Who are those people? Like they got spot on. I like that. Totally true. Random person out there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're done with Star Wars leaks now, finally.
Oh my God.
That only
I can
took us 48 minutes.
I can stop pretending I know what I'm talking about. Good.
I'm glad we got that out of the way quick.
That's why I said do it right away, because otherwise we're not gonna do it.
Yeah,
we're
we
not gonna get
buried
to
the lead now.
This chat's been relatively quiet. We're just so confused by the twists and turns.
it. Like, I just-
Listen, it makes sense to us, and I will say every time we have gotten back on track, eventually.
yeah.
So,
You're adhering to the spirit of the show very well.
oh, thank you. We're just in the roundabout for a while, and then we're going, oh no, we do need the Duluth exit, and then we pop off that way.
I'm trying to think of like as you are saying words, try to like jump in with like a Jeremy-esque story where he's like, speaking of spirit, I had a spirit in my house the other day, and it's just always connecting to something, and yeah.
Wasn't Ghostbusters Day recently, or is it coming up or something?
2 days ago, I think.
So,
Matt Rasmus.
yeah, Matt Rasmussen.
I was gonna say to him because he'll have that info.
That'd be cool.
So, are you guys excited for Afterlife?
Yeah, I am. I'm into Ghostbusters enough to where like I'm stoked for another one, and I can see that they're trying to do a good job of sticking on point with this one, but also out of it enough to where I can probably go and like this without getting upset because I didn't notice this, and this. You know, where I'm enough into the fandom to be excited, but not enough to be like, oh, well, they didn't do this, or that was wrong, and this little thing was weird. So I'm in a happy spot for it. I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it, I think. How about you?
Yeah, I really hope that they just keep rebooting that franchise over and over again, like Terminator, and just keep throwing stuff at the wall. And no, I am excited, and you know, it's I don't know, the last one was fun enough, the 2016 one, but actually, did you see the 2016
I
one?
did.
I thought the funniest thing they did in that movie was that they had Bill Murray in a kind of an extended cameo, and then they killed him off, and I
Yeah.
thought that was the funniest thing ever, because I'm like, he's wanted to be killed off in this series as like a joke for quite a while. I'm glad they actually did it. But I'm excited for this one just because it's like they're taking out New York and they're trying to make it probably a little. It's weird to me that like it's just Ghostbusters is surviving as a franchise as it is. I mean, I like it a lot and it's cool and the costumes are awesome. I'm not trying to make Matt mad out there, but like it's weird to me that has grown into like such a franchise. Like
Yeah.
like we have to have a cartoon and a new movie every year, and I'm like, it's good, but I'm like, it's, you know, I would like to. I think they should meet up with Men in Black
That would be.
because Columbia owns, and I was like,
That'd be pretty cool.
You should have them
That
team
should
up.
be a really neat.
But Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones Men in Black, not.
Yeah, not the whatever they did a couple years. That
I
was
didn't
awful.
see that one. Although Chris Hemsworth was in that, and he was in the other Ghostbusters one, which he was actually pretty funny in the 2016 Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I liked watching the background more than I like watching the
I gotta
movie.
stop you guys for a second. So, first of all, Swanky commented that your spirit tangent sounded exactly like something Jeremy would say.
Oh, thank
and
you.
Jeremy's sent like 5 messages saying, I wish I could call in. I legitimately have a spirit
Oh.
Save it for Halloween. Get me back on in a
Oh.
couple months.
You know, just
142 days away from Halloween. So
next
we're good.
episode, just say it again. Be like, oh, the spirit of the show. Just say that again, and
Yeah,
he'll instantly like his brain will be like, anyway, back to that story.
Recalling story.
Wait, like an actual like a spirit, like a ghost?
Do you want me to call him and just hold the thing up to the mic so we can hear what he say?
Oh, we better.
We better.
I don't want to.
I hope it's about Spirited Away, the brand new movie.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, you know, like about the horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, calling Jeremy.
I'm gonna pantomime him though, or I suppose you have to pantomime him.
Hello?
All right, so we need to hear this spirit story now.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Well, they probably can't hear me, can they?
Yeah, can you guys
I hear it.
I can hear him. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I have been helping rent a certain rental property, okay? Belongs to someone I know, all right? And so my said person who I'm helping...
Oh. We're losing you.
It was the ghost.
I was gonna say that was the ghost.
Jeez. Now
Story.
we do have to run this.
You aren't going to believe this. Can you guys hear me?
We lost you for about 30 seconds, and we assumed the ghost got you.
Lost you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
It's
Hello?
yeah, sort of, yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so rental property, right?
Yes.
Doing showings with random people. You know, people want to see the property, they want to rent it. So one of the people that was looking at this rental property said, "Is this place haunted?" And the person that I'm helping goes, "Well, no, it's not." You know, and they're like, "I sense dead people here," and they walked out of the showing. Okay, so the person calls me up, telling me this, and they said, "Jeremy, the last tenant did die in the house."
Oh no!
Yes.
Yuck.
It was a lady who passed away at old age. How
Crazy.
crazy is that?
That lady's got
This
unfinished
happened.
business, apparently.
I guess so.
That is
for your age,
insane.
my
I
cat
guess
turd.
so.
Oh man.
I just what Justin said. That like Jeremy would have some sort of.
Why do you have a category for everything?
Yeah, I did exercise a spirit one time, so if they need that house sold, let me know.
All right, well,
That's my story. You guys are doing an awesome job.
all right,
Thank you.
well,
Blessing from
we'll talk
management.
to you after the podcast. You snuck onto this one somehow.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
So that means Jeremy
Yeah.
really
Phoned in by,
Or do the sneaky up head thing with Jeremy in the car.
Nah, he can go toss dog turds. Got it in there! Yeah!
Thank
Bring
you.
it back.
We're gonna bring this.
Oh my goodness. So, where were we before?
Yeah, I'm excited.
I don't know,
I'm
but-
excited for Ghostbusters.
Oh, nice,
Yeah, yeah. We did binge watch a TV series for this, though.
Yeah, we
Oh, that's
did.
right. I gave you guys homework, and we haven't even gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
It'd be hilarious if we just never did. And then I was like, I only tried my best to like watch this whole show.
Yeah.
Didn't you say you stayed up like all night?
I stayed up super late last night
Yeah.
for an old man with children to
9:30.
7 p.m.
Yeah.
7 p.m. I watched 8 come and go.
I gotta say, like, I was expecting it with an animated show. I was like, oh yeah, 8 episodes, that ain't bad. They're probably like 20 minutes each. And it's like,
Nope.
it's like an actual full. And I was like, oh, this is like an actual
you're sitting down
show.
for this.
And I'm like, all right, let's. And I, the first episode, I was like taking notes because I was like, I better get all these characters' names and then like all time. By the way, it's just the
Right.
longest. I was just sitting there like, oh, I don't need to know these characters' names. Never mind. And I was just like, all right, now I'm with it.
So,
I was in a
pause.
very similar situation. I wasn't taking notes, and I was like, okay, these guys are obviously all super important.
Right. And just no.
No, they are towards the plot. We are talking about Invincible, because I don't think any of us ever actually said
No,
when we jumped into that.
That's true.
Yes, we are talking about the new animated series Invincible.
It'd be great if we could just get like that title card the way they do it on the show.
Oh,
where it's
sick.
like, we're talking about fur.
Get it? Yeah.
Invincible.
If it was back in the day when I actually had to edit these, I probably would have done that.
I can provide some blood to throw onto the title card if necessary.
You just carry it with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So it's been out for a while, so I feel we can speak spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Because
literally like
otherwise-
the final episode was a meme on Twitter, and I didn't understand it
I
until
was waiting that whole time. I was like, we'll use that phrase, but I was waiting forever, and I was like, when is this meme gonna happen?
I haven't seen this meme.
Mark, have you finished it?
No, I've seen it. I don't know. I haven't seen the meme you're talking about. I finished the
It is.
series.
Do you read it? Rod, you read it?
I do. I somehow have just like dodged and weaved my way through.
It's the Think Mark one, right? That's one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's the one. Yeah, I saw it on Twitter. Yeah, so you gotta, you're just on the wrong social media, man.
Apparently,
Took
let me.
over
I'm
Reddit.
gonna do some googling. While
They've
you
got
guys
like
talk.
Winnie the Pooh being pounded by Tigger. They've got like all the like you name it, like Buzz Lightyear talking to Woody. Like it's I guarantee you if you put a like any IP in and think, Mark, think, you'll find it.
You know what's funny is like actually one of the loosest references show I saw in the comments of a video I saw before I finished, because I was watching a Loki clip on YouTube.
Oh,
and
sure.
someone had mentioned it. It's about, you know, just where he's opening up the drawer. I won't spoil it for that show, but basically someone like commented like, well, there's 11 years down the drain. And then someone commented under that, it's like, what's another 17 years of life? And then I was like, what did they and I didn't get what they were talking about until I watched the final episode, and I was like, that's what they were talking about. That is such a loose reference.
I got the Red Wedding spoiled for me.
Oh, that sucks.
By the Bear and the Maiden Fair. So it was the weekend of when the Red Wedding, I think, had just happened.
Mm.
And we were going to start watching with a friend. He's like, here's my HBO account, get caught up, binge watch it. I was off the internet, off Facebook, off Reddit, off everything, like just completely out of touch with the world. And I'm like, I'm going to get through and I'm not going to get any spoilers. And it was the penultimate episode before the Red Wedding. And that song, The Bear and the Maiden Fair, collapse. And I was like, and it's very innuendo, but it's a great song. So I was like, oh sweet, I want to look at this up and see who sings it. And then the first top comment is like, oh, can you believe that they murdered everybody in the next episode? And I'm like, they did what now? What? Like, I just knew there was a wedding coming up. Like, the Red Wedding, you know, because of blood and the death. And I was like...
they talk like that.
That's exactly how they did. I'll get my... Yeah, can you believe it? And I was like... I was irate because I had done so good, and it was literally like me tripping at the finish line and just eating my own teeth. Like, so close. Ugh.
You know what I love about that too is that I also I've never seen Game of Thrones, but I know about that, but I still don't know who got killed, so I'm still good.
No, you're
I just know what's coming.
I'm in the same spot, and I know that winter is coming sometime.
It's like, oh
yeah.
I still like, you know, I watched the first season. It's good. I know I got to catch up with the rest. First season's very good, but yeah, that would suck. Yeah, I mean, like even with this show, like it wasn't even like spoiled to me. Like the ending, it's just more. You know, you see the meme, and I was like, I don't know what that's talking about. And then I saw another thing where, like, the actual Twitter account was sharing it, and they were like, we're getting a second and third season. And I was like, oh, it's a show. And then I didn't really pay attention after that. And then when you mentioned Invincible, I was like, what? And then the only thing I knew about this show before, besides that meme, I feel like I've recognized this character before, but it's a book. It's a comic book or a graphic novel or long-running one anyway.
Same guy that did The Walking Dead.
Yeah, and... There is and I love Simon Pegg, Nick Frost. They did the I don't even know what it was, the Alien one, which was not the third of the Cornetto trilogy, but Paul.
Yeah,
didn't care for it. Maybe I'll give another watch, but probably not. But he's wearing an Invincible shirt, and that was like
2011, I believe.
It was like early 2010s,
Yeah. So he was wearing an Invincible shirt. So it's, I mean, like it's, we know it's a comic that's been out for a while, and I guess the series right now is only through episode 12 of 144 chapters. So chapter 12 of 144 chapters. So
you mean like the comic books, like the actual editions and issues? Or,
yeah. Okay. So I mean, they got ways to run with this if they want to. With where they're at right now, I don't know. Like,
where does it go?
It
feels like it's like the rising action has risen.
Right. Well, there's got to be, you know, Dad's coming back, and he's either had a change of heart or he'll cast, and he's like extra mad because he's like, you know, my heart, so now I can't go back there. They're after me, and I hate you. And then the whole army's coming, and he's going to do a training montage. And going into it, so, like, there's so many... I wasn't going to watch it originally. I was like, oh, yeah, everyone's like, oh, check this out, D, you'll love it. It's bloody, it's gory. And, like, for being a horror fan, I'm not a huge slasher fan, so I'm not always with the blood, guts, and gore. Like, in Game of Thrones, where the guy gets his head popped. And, you know, like, I watched the second episode of this, and I had to take a break. I was like, oh, I felt icky after it because it is intense, and it sets you up well for the rest of it. It's a good, like, not palate cleanser, but you're like, okay, that was maybe besides that in the train scene, like, up there. But they also, as a parent, they do a lot of things where it's like, I'm a parent reaching for my child, and then I get killed or the kid gets killed. And that, as a parent, really hits in a different way than it used to. So like, but you know, we have Brightburn, we have
The Boys.
The Boys.
Yeah.
We have that new one with the guy with the super bad wig. Came out the exact same time as this did. It's a live action one, and he has a really poor white wig. And then, yeah, so, like, there's all these, like, oh, what if it was Superman, but he was bad? So I was like, I don't need another one of these shows.
felt
Like,
the
I've
same way,
enjoyed the ones I've watched, but I don't need it. I'm really glad I watched this, though. I am. I think it's worth a watch. I think it's really good, and it's, like, My Hero Academia. I don't know if there's any anime.
I haven't seen it, but I'm aware of it.
My Hero Academia does what Dragon Ball Z did for me as a kid, where I can watch that show, and I'm like, I can do things. I can feel confident about it. Like, it pumps me up.
That's the one where like people have like wacky powers, like they can grow their hair kind of fast or something, right?
Yeah, but they do it in... It's a step towards this world where it's like, here are superheroes and everything's fine. We don't really think about the ramification of these powers, and like maybe they talk about it a bit, or they do now. But My Hero goes a step further where it's like, sometimes you just got a crappy power and you got to deal with it. Maybe you're just like a janitor who has hose fingers, or, you know, like, which you're still getting paid more than most folks. Like, good on you. But,
All day open free shower. Come on.
but like, they get into some of like the real trauma of like, the implications of living in this sort of world where these things run rampant, and this like singularity they're working towards where like all these things are going to interbreed and finally have this one big power. Like, there's a lot of like really good how things would be, and then these are the next step of like that next level of, all right, so My Hero Academia is still like fun and encouraging and powerful, and this one is like, these are just really regular people who are all pretty morally gray, trying their best for a lot of them, but also have their flaws. And just like, yeah, when that building gets smashed into, people do die. Like, I watched King Kong and Godzilla, I go, yeah! And I know like 100,000 people just died in Tokyo. And they addressed that in the first Godzilla movie, and after that they're like, see that shark? We're gonna jump it. We're gonna have Godzilla beat it up. And I love them because I know what I'm getting into those movies. But I did like this series because it does take it that next level of what the ramifications of having these powers are in the world where this is true, and then having someone like him. And The Boys deals with it a lot too, where you have this like omnipotent one, and everyone's like, oh, farts. Like, what are we gonna do if and when this guy goes off? You know, and I think it's a good story. I think currently it's being overtold. But that doesn't make me dislike The Boys or Brightburn or Invincible. It's just, I think they all are like, oh, hey, they're doing it. Let's hop out with the story so we don't seem like the copycats.
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh, you know, when all the flavors of ice cream are Rocky Road doesn't seem as cool. I still love any Rocky Road I'm eating. It's just like, you know, but I don't know. I dig it. I like a lot of the animation in it. Some of the bad guys I really dig too. That for some reason the way the earthquake guy moves, when he kind of like he hovers around, he's like, yeah. And he's just a dork. He's this old man who gives himself a concussion every time he uses it, and he reminds me of the Vulture, like the original Vulture in Marvel, and they do a good job of that, and also setting up a lot of little what ifs in the background, like the brains. And they did address that at the very end. I'm like, they just took over Mars with this brain thing, and they never spoke about it again.
I just realized, they never did. And
at the very, very end, they show all the things. He's like, I think I'm just going to go to high school, you know? And
and I like that because it's almost like, wow, he pretty much just created all his villains, like, in the process.
Yep.
Which, I mean, some
His
of them were
rogues
already,
gallery
like,
is-
villainous, but, like, how he already has all these established relationships with all of them. Because, I was thinking of the one, because the thing is, too, with this cast, it's like, it's stacked with some, like, big names. Like, you were mentioning Paul, you know, in that movie, Seth Rogen was an alien. He literally is an alien in this show. And he's apparently also making his own live-action movie with Evan Goldberg. Like, they're still going to make a live-action Invincible movie. So, they were planning that years ago, which, at this point, I don't know if that's still going to happen, because I thought they were also attached to The Boys. So it's like, how many of these shows are you going to make, man? Because I think they're even executive producers on this
Seth
show.
Rogen's doing Ninja Turtles as well.
Yeah, he's just becoming a powerhouse for producing.
Yeah. He's gonna be great for it though, because
Like
if
he's gonna
anybody
be
gets
Krang.
stoner teenager like comedy, I do think the Ninja Turtles is in good hands with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get a real stoner Michelangelo. He's like, "Whoa, what's up, dudes? Let's party!" And it's gonna be, anyways. But yeah, we're diverting.
What I love about Amazon Prime is that you can like pause it and see the actors who are in it.
Yeah.
And like, well, one of the things was first episode. Of course, I started and I had to pause it right now, and then I saw like John Hamm. I'm like, John Hamm's in this show, and then it's like, no, he only plays that little role at the beginning. That's it. And I was like. And then the same thing happens when we get to the episode with Titan, the guy who can like turn into like a rock guy. And I was like, this guy is like super cool. I like his backstory. I'm like, is he going to become like a big part? Is he going to be kind of a conflicted villain? And Invincible doesn't really know how to interact with this guy or take him down because it's like, I understand his history and his past. And it's played by Mahershala Ali, which I was like, this is like, wow, what an actor to get for this show. I'm like, I can't wait to see where it. And it's just like, oh, that was it. And then, yeah, they show him at the end. Like you said, it was like the final episode shows.
He's like the sort of.
But but I was like, okay, so that means that there's going to be more seasons and we're probably going to get another arc with him. But I'm like, wow, what a really cool way to set it up where you show how he becomes a villain in a way. And then you also get someone like a big actor, great voice actor, too.
Yeah.
Like right from the beginning. They do this with so many characters. And you know, and if we're gonna tie it to Star Wars, Mark Hamill, of course, is in the show.
Yeah.
He's like the costume designer guy.
Yeah,
And,
he's like the Edna
Oh,
of
sure. Sure,
Incredibles. Yeah.
yeah, and J.K. Simmons is like,
Oh, he's so freaking good.
he needs to definitely do. I know he's done animation in the past, but it's like he's so good.
Perfect
like
voice.
his genuineness, like when he's like trying to be like fatherly, comes through so well. But then like his like unbelievable
Mark, I
like
need you to
rage
think
and
about
like berserk mode. Also, it was like both of them they're so different but so perfect. Both of them.
It is
so good.
Right, and then like there's just so many. Most of the memorable moments are like with him and just when they're like on vacation and all that. Well, that's one of my like scenes I really liked is when they're on vacation. He's just talking to his wife as craziness is going on in the background.
Yeah, he's like,
and
no, we're gonna.
He's like, I'm on vacation, and that's kind of like a big theme in this show too.
Let
where like
Cecil earn his paycheck.
Yeah.
Let Cecil.
Invincible is like his grades are going to trash just because he keeps going out there to save people, and it's like that is one thing I've never really thought about before. Like, it just has to be tiring to be doing this because it's like you feel like you need to be out there all the time. And given that his father, though, is such a sociopath at this point, he's just like, whatever. Like, because you find out by the end, it's like, oh, he really just doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But in that moment, they do a good job of playing it off as like, he's like, there's other heroes. I can take a break. Like, let them learn to do their job.
Yeah, there's only a couple people dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even him watching Mark get trounced, like, all those people he could have stepped in any time in the tower there and done away with them, but he let his son be beaten into a near coma before doing it himself, but yeah, there's a lot of that where it's like, you think of like Bruce Wayne, like, yeah, he's up all night fighting crime, and then he has to go to his like boring business day job and like pretend not to have his like ribs kicked in and have the energy to do it. And also I'm curious, and I'm not gonna try and spoil anything for myself and look ahead, but I'm curious if Adam Eve, she's like, oh, I'm changing this crop, I'm giving this, I'm doing that, either if she's going to be taken advantage of being like, well, now our crops are failing and it's your fault because you provided and it threw this ecological thing off, or if there's going to be some unknown ramification of using her powers, because like at first it's like, oh, it's force beams and it's force shields, but then she like creates a door for the first time. She's like, I can like molecular like there's
she affects the reality at an atomic level.
Payment down the line, because like really then why isn't she just scrambling people like Omni-Man comes at her and she
totally
just
disintegrate him.
Because she cleaned herself off at the very end. She's getting her coffee and she's all dirty and kind of bruised up and she's like and she's fine. Could be a WandaVision thing though, where she can only keep so much up, so as maybe she's got those crops out and they were good, and then she starts using her powers elsewhere and they just like fail. I don't know.
That'd be very interesting.
I feel like I might have read something, but that's because I was reading about the comics before I started watching the show, so I feel like I was maybe spoiled some things, but not quite sure where it's going to head yet. Because even reading some of the comic like about it on like I was Wikipedia, like just reading about it a little bit. I didn't really get right away what Mark's father exactly, what his reasoning was for that very graphic after credit scene, because it was one of those things where I'm like, well, I've seen things like, you know, I've seen things like The Boys. I haven't seen the whole show, but I've seen like enough clips from it, and I've seen other similar shows like you were saying. So I was like, yeah, I feel like he's just like evil Superman, and that's really it. But you know, as the show progressed, I was still kind of questioning. I don't know. Were you ever questioning like his motive, or maybe he was controlled or something?
I guessed it like episode 1. I'm like, oh, because he starts acting weird the second Mark gets his powers, and it's the Sith Lord situation where like there is a master and there is an apprentice, and the apprentice is fated to destroy the master. There can only be one. Like, and instantly for him to be this like alpha male Superman character, and the second his son, who he wanted to have powers because he felt like if he doesn't have powers, maybe he's not good enough for me. He's not really my son, sort of deal. He gets it. He's like, neat. And then instantly he's like, beans. Now I might not be the top dog. And I'm like, yep, it's going to be this thing where he killed the other team because he is doing some like supremacy thing. He's like, they were getting too good because they almost got him. So he's like, I can't let anyone get near my level. So, you know, and then like even in the training scenes, you could tell when Mark started to like best him in things or get like good, he would immediately, instead of taking it from like the training like 3 to maybe like, you're like, oh, okay, well, you're doing good at this. I'll turn up to 5 to give you a little bit more of a challenge. He cranks up to 11, and it's just like, oh, here, can you take a hit? And just, like, slams him to show Mark that he'll never be good, and build in that mental barrier of, like, I'll never be as strong as my dad because he pummeled me. So my thought, where this is going to progress, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, for the people who've read the comics and what have you, my bet is that the next couple of seasons are going to be the Rogue Gallery, Mark learning, like getting stronger, kind of dealing with his relation to his father, this and that. And then there's going to be a chunk where they do come back, and he had, like, now he's strong enough, he has to fight more often just one Omni-Man sort of deal. Maybe he's made an alliance with the Coalition. And then whatever the big end bad is, the reason why they were spreading out and colonizing might have more to it than what we see at this point. Is maybe, you know, their way of asserting like global dominance, but it's also like protecting the shield. It's the Tony Stark making the bubble around the world. It's very, I started off thinking like, oh, it's the boys, it's Superman. By the end of it, it's Dragon Ball Z. Because it's this conquering superhuman race who is godlike to anybody else. I mean, you could say Loki and Thor, whatever, but like it is so Dragon Ball Z by the end of it, where it's like, oh, my son is half human. Maybe that has something to do with it. That's why, you know, Gohan's so much stronger, technically, even though his mom never lets him. Teen Gohan's the coolest, and then he tanks from there. And then there's the turn in Super where he's like neat again, and then they immediately like, nah, let's make him a dork. I'll get on Dragon Ball Z, but it's that like, okay, this is conquering alien race, and their whole thing is being the top dog in it. And then but even they have Frieza eventually comes in and takes control of their stuff. So I'm thinking there's a Frieza-esque character in control of them. But, like, it's the parallels are like, okay, I'm this super strong dude, came here to conquer this world, and then my son came and basically bonked his head on a rock, and now he's the savior, and you're going to go against me? Broly? You know, I know it's not Broly's.
It's like he says Chi-Chi is proto-Tiger Mom.
Oh. Oh, Chi-Chi. Poor Goku, but he needed that in his life. But
I kind of thought that same thing though while watching it. Was like I figured it'd be very similar to The Boys, and then I was like, it's an actual comic book. Well, granted, The Boys is too, but it was like I think this came first, and I was like, it's good to finally like hit it. Just because other shows are doing it doesn't mean you shouldn't get your chance to do it. But as I was watching it, because I was expecting, given that like Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg were attached, and just reading a little bit about it, I was like, I felt like it would be a way more comedic show, or way more overblown, or more of a parody of these kind of shows. And then what I realized, especially with the animation style, that you keep comparing it to Dragon Ball Z, I was like, you know, it is very like a higher budget show you would have watched on like Kids WB back in the day.
Yeah.
And you know, even like the facial expression, I'm like, it kind of reminded me of those like the older like Scooby-Doo movies I'd watch, like
Yeah.
Zombie Island and such, and I was like, yeah, a lot of it's very much like the late 90s, early 2000s WB animation. That's all it pretty much is, nothing more except for adults. I'm like, it's kind of cool that they're going back to us. I wonder why they're going, and I was like, oh, it makes sense. It's because it's starting to hit now. We went through a decade of 80s nostalgia. Now we're going to 90s. Now it's time to bring back that stuff. But I was like,
it's always like 30 years later is that.
Yeah, it's like, yeah exactly. The 30-year. I've heard that one. Yeah, I've heard some people.
It's a lot of your nostalgia for the past comes from what your grandparents' house looked like. Because like that's like I love going to my grandparents. Their house looked like this and this and that. So like my grandparents, I have a lot of nostalgia for like late 60s, 70s deco because I'm like, oh, that's what my grandparents had in their house. And then, but the things like I grew up with, like the 80s nostalgia comes from like my parents because like that music was still on the top 40s playing in the early 90s, or they had on a cassette back in the day, and they'd play it. So like it's something of like, oh, I don't want to like be into things like my parents are in. Like, I used to hate those, like, jackets with, like, the white, the purple, the Hornets jackets that literally everybody and their brother used to have. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing when I was young, and now I look back, I'm like, that's cool. I own 8 of those, and I don't even sport, Like,
I don't even sport.
Yeah, but, I think it's like a 30-ish year thing. But you're right, and I think you're onto something there, because it's not quite the animation level of, like, going quite anime, or like even the Teen Titans, like that faux, or Avatar, where it's that like faux anime. It's still more WB hits it right on the head.
Yeah, well, and I forget that a lot of shows that were airing at the time were trying to just replicate the anime style because it was just starting to become popular in America. So yeah, it is doing that, but I felt like more like it feels like something you would have watched on Kids WB, except way more graphic.
They use the red pen a lot more in this one. Yeah.
And it's like there's not any noticeable like cells missing in the animation or anything like that. No, it's like, oh no, because it's all very smoothly done and very high budget. And yeah, once I kind of accepted that, like, oh, it's not trying to be a parody of other shows. It's not like trying to be a game changer for the superhero genre.
Not making a commentary on another show. Yeah.
Right. It was just like, no, it's just being what that original comic, which probably was trying to be a commentary on other comic books at the time. But now I'm like, it's good, and it gets me in like more seasons, but also just going to the comic books and reading them, because I'm like, even the animation style in the comic books, it seems to be lift the characters from the pages pretty well.
Yeah.
It's
the little bit of like tentative looking I've done into it. It seems pretty, but I guess right now it's harder than heck to find because everybody and their brother's trying to buy it.
Yeah,
so I don't know if they have like
read
a compendium or whatever, but
that's why I looked it up, because I was like, I wonder if they have them all compiled, because it went from I think like 2003 to 2018 maybe. It went on for like something like that, like 10 to 15 years, something like that. So they have them collected in books, but I looked up the first volume and it costs like $400 right now. So Jesus. I was like, oh, so I won't be unless it's digital. I'm sure it's, but I was like, oh, I won't be reading
scalpers that got everything else too. They're like, oh, this is gonna be popular.
Yeah, they just got stacks of like graphics cards in this comic book sitting at their house.
Right. It's like as soon as I hear that an Invincible TV show was being produced years ago, they were like, all right, so let's start buying these all up right now, and let's get ready to sell these once this show comes out. And it's like, well, it's turning out great for you.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $400 though to read what I just watched.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I read a lot of books, just plunk down and watch something. So this might be one where I do just if I'll be able to withhold myself or not. And there's always the high seas of the internet where you might be able to find digital versions of it. But,
matey.
If you catch my drift. That's bad. Don't do it.
Yeah, you're just going to end up finding some, like, just other Russian knockoff of it.
Well, it's like that every time you're like, Invisible. I thought I was downloading.
It's that thing they do where it's like it's spelt wrong, and then the character that's actually on the product is not the same like property. Like,
it's like Spider-Man.
Oh, what's that really famous one? It's like the League of Super B. It's like some like toy set that they sold, but like it's supposed to look like Justice
League
League.
of Super Friends.
Yeah, that's and then it's like in it is like a Power Ranger, Shrek, and Lightning McQueen, and just like the most.
And they're all also knockoff versions of it. Like you're like, I know that's Shrek, but he's now also a superhero with with Lightning McQueen. Like it would be a great team up. I'd
see that.
Watch it.
I see that because once they made the actual Justice League movie, they made a poster with all those characters together, and like they actually made an adaptation of it. And I see that every once in a while being thrown around, and it was the original image of where this is like an actual toy that was sold in Mexico, where they just combined them all, and they're like, you can collect the whole set. And I'm like, this just does not correlate. Like, why am I getting a car teaming up with Shrek to take on the world? Yeah.
Get in me, Shrek. We're going for a ride. No.
In the swamp.
Yeah.
He's Cockney now. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not Scott.
The budgets ran out for good accents about 20 minutes ago on this. So
what usually goes is like if there's like an actual movie, it's different accents going over the original, but the original voice is not quite gone exactly. Like it's just been lowered, and then Russian subtitles at the bottom always. So it's always a great mix of just. You should just edit the whole show like that. You should just dub our voices, and then Russian subtitles.
I'm in.
If we increase the budget from $0, we'll take it. We'll talk. Oh my gosh!
Russian person on Fiverr to translate.
Yeah. We got Google Translate. That's close.
Yeah, exactly.
enough.
It'll just be a Russian Google talking the whole time. Like, Das Vidanya.
Yeah. That's racist.
Racist towards the Russians. How dare you?
Nobody's gonna stop us from doing that. That's the one safe place.
I was gonna say, I guess
that's the one thing everyone's agreed. We could go after the Russians about anything. That's fine. We can do that. No one, the Russians aren't offended, or at least we don't care if they're offended.
Oh my goodness.
But no. Good series though. I
Mm-hmm.
did enjoy it. Did you have a favorite episode or a favorite character?
I really I like the episode where, and it's kind of an earlier one, but I like the one where those alien guys come, and the actual problem is not that they're like, oh, they can't breathe our air or anything. It's the fact that when they're on our planet, they age faster.
Yeah.
Which takes me back to, like, Interstellar, where I was, like, so thrown off about how that movie works.
Yeah.
And then I was watching this, and I was like, oh, that's very, like, complex. And then they actually leave, and it's only like a day later, and they're back with advanced technology. And they're like, oh, but they've had years to work on this.
They've had 30 years to do
It's
this.
Like, we had a couple days.
Yep. I thought that was a cool way to do it because it shows, like, from our side. Because, like, a lot of times it's us going over and then, like, okay, but it's only been a few days for them. So we, so it was cool to see it from the other side.
And I imagine, like, what's his name? Neil Tyler DeGrasse. Is that DeGrasse? Is that the scientist guy? I feel
Neil
like
deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, Neil deGrasse. What is his name? Why do I never get his name right? I called him Neil Tyler DeGrasse. What is his name?
Neil
Tiger Grassstein.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's his
Neil
name.
deGrasse.
Yeah.
DeGrasse. Neil deGrasse. I don't know. The point is, he was watching the show after being offended by my comment, and he probably. I feel like he was watching that like, this is exactly right, because he was like praising Interstellar at the time because he was like, this is exactly what it's like. And I went and saw Tenet, and everyone was like, that movie's so confusing, and I was like, I don't know, it makes sense to me. I still watch Interstellar, and I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea. I mean, that's my limit with Christopher Nolan. It's like, okay, you go on the planet, and because of gravity, time is faster, and they're like, yeah, it's just simple, like, physics, and I'm like, simple? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Like,
sure, you said science words at me. I believe it.
Sure, yep, I'll buy it. But this episode I liked because then they get those like wristbands and that like keeps them their age on the planet. And I was like, this is, it's just never a way I've seen it before. It's not the whole science thing where they come down and they're they can't touch the water or something. And it's like I like that this one. It was like, no, it literally has to do with. I guess it has to tie to gravity in some way. Once again, not a scientist. Don't quote me. I'm not a scientist.
Never said I'm not a scientist. I like the Hellboy detective.
He was cool.
He did something for me. I was like, he is super, super rad. And because like he's one of the few characters who wasn't intimidated by Omni-Man. Like he didn't purposely like go out of his way to antagonize him, and he knew when to leave, but he's like, I know I'm screwed. I know he's gonna find a way to get me out of here or frame me for this, because like who trusts a demon?
Yeah,
and I really enjoyed that, where because they did a lot of that, like Monster Girl and the robot, like people see me for who I am. Like, yeah, who would trust a demon? I'm Omni-Man. I'm Superman. Why would they trust you? And he was still smart enough to like leave his notebook behind, and just how he got things set up. He was one of my favorite characters, and I liked Andy, the alien that got Earth.
Oh, I was supposed to go to
Urath.
Oh, yeah, I liked him a lot too. But like I said, even the villains were a lot of fun. The Magma Man, I don't know why, just the way he moved around, I really enjoyed it. Felt fluid and it felt fun, and just like clink, like he was a stupid thing. And he's like, I'm just gonna hit these together. It's gonna cause an earthquake, whatever. But it was neat.
I like the cloning guys. Like their whole thing is like, I'm the clone. No, you're the clone. Like, and then leading into the whole arc with Robot getting a new body and everything, like all that was like, I like this.
I like that. It did bring up a question to me because she's like 24, 25.
Yeah.
She says 24 originally, then she's 25. So maybe she had a birthday in this. But she did say 24 first, then she said 25. She's in the body of what, a 14-year-old?
I think it's 12-year-old.
12-year-old. That, I understand that feeling of...
Do you go into rage mode and
when
get younger?
I shave, I'm like, I would ID myself anywhere I went. I got ID'd for Deadpool 2, which is a story for another time. So they're like, it's kind of weird because like anybody who wants to date her is either like a kid, and she's like, I don't want to date somebody that young. But then she's sort of into, what's his name?
Yeah, the Rexplode.
The Rexplode, who's only 17 or 18 because he was on the teen team.
Yep.
And he says something about high school. So like there's already that weird time gap that, is just, and on the opposite end, just kind of equally as weird.
Yeah.
And then that she made that comment, she's like, I don't want to date a kid, but then the robot made himself
the kid
kid-age.
version of him,
Right.
yeah.
So that kind of like, that doesn't track with some of the earlier lines. And I know it was like a throwaway thing because like, I don't know. The internet being the internet, they're like, she's 14, but technically she's 25. Like all the anime.
And it's like, okay.
Yeah, yep. So it's okay if you think she's cute. 'Cause, like,
Please,
it's all right.
yell
but
it
you're
louder. Right.
But then they progressively make it worse by kind of stepping on their own toes in that way. And I don't know why that's the thing. Like, wait a minute, he's only 18 if you're 25. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like too with how it kind of keeps throwing you off about some of the characters because like
Yeah.
Robot goes into that whole thing where he's trying to break those guys out, and you kind of wonder, why is he suddenly doing this?
Yeah, did he get reprogrammed or?
Well, and I was like, so he's an evil. Of course, the robot's
Yeah.
evil. But then you find out he literally did all that just so he could get like an actual body, and then he's like wanting to throw them in jail again right after. And I'm like, that's a little interesting, And there's a lot of characters like that where you get thrown off by what's gonna happen. Like, with, I kind of suspected for a while. I'm like, Rexplode. I feel like he's gonna end up being a villain. I don't know if you saw the recent Mortal Kombat, but
I haven't
They
yet, but
kind of have like a villainous twist in that too, and I kind of thought that was gonna happen. I'm like, of course, the loud douchey character is gonna end up being evil, and then he's not, and then they do other things like, no, I'm losing my train of thought, but yeah, no, it keeps.
There's a lot of gray in there, and they even Cecil's like, this is the problem. Like, you guys see this, he's like, I'm in the gray because that is what we deal with. Like, we are not good people. We are not bad people. Mm-hmm. People are trying to help out, but even when you do help out, there's ramifications. Again, I think Adam Eve, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That hammer's gonna fall, and it's either gonna be because of power drain or something, or then people become too reliant on her and this. Because like going back to the hero thing. So hard to be able to let yourself rest knowing that every time you go to sleep, there are people dying because you're not there. But with all these other superheroes around, that's where you're like, okay, well, this next team is taking care of that while I get some rest. So like to the I'm on vacation scene, you think that's almost more like a healthier way of looking at it. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't just like buzz off and not tell anybody that I'm not watching the US right now. I'm going to be in France or whatever. But like, I'd be like, hey, I'm taking my week off. I'm doing my my DuPont schedule, and yeah, so I'm on my long week. So Guardians of the Globe, you guys got this until I, don't call me. I'm sleeping. But it would be hard. And I'm glad they touch on that. Where it's like, yeah, like I got everything I wanted, but my life is falling apart.
Right.
Like I got these powers, but
And then if it's like it's something you really care about, it's like you got always be on, and it's like how do you even feel comfortable turning that off? And I hope with like the second season, I don't know if they do this in the comics, but just get more of like a outside of the Guardians perspective, like because you don't get a whole lot of like newscast kind of like, you know, I'm talking about like have the commentators all like the six screens discussing the superheroes and why they're a problem with this or that, and also just the fact that they let so many people died, and we can blame Omni-Man, but also he did throw Invincible through everybody, and it's like if Invincible wasn't there, that wouldn't have happened either. Granted, then Omni-Man would have taken over, but that's what I mean. Like I would like to see more of that debate on the outside. And that is one thing I have an issue with like lots of comic book things is that you don't often get a very complex. It's either everybody agrees that we hate them or everybody agrees that we love the superheroes.
Yeah.
You know, the only time they touch upon it is like the Zack Snyder DC films where they're like, oh, people are a little conflicted about Superman, and that was it. And I was like, have you seen the way the world is and how they respond to things? Like everybody is yelling and on TV yelling about their own thoughts on it, and I was like, I need that, because imagine then just being that person with all that power, getting so ticked off, but also like actually trying your best.
Yeah.
Like Invincible's like actually trying so hard, and I'd like to see an incident where they reference the final episode, like the people on TV, and they mess with you.
Yeah,
and
like-
I'd like to see more of that.
yeah. Yeah, like since you couldn't do strong, because I mean, there's gonna be Karens there. There's gonna be some that like no one's gonna be happy no matter what you do. You'd be doing the most virtuous thing, and there's still people that hate like Gandhi or whoever. You know, they're like because they're just
Some chef somewhere's like, you never did anything I cooked.
yeah, he spilled my coffee one time, and I hate him for it. You know.
Oh,
like,
I know that guy. That guy ain't no good.
Yeah.
I got some stories about that guy. I can't tell them, but I got stories.
Right.
You know, I was gonna mention the thing that I really was different than what I would expect to happen was when he revealed to his girlfriend that he's invincible because he keeps dipping out on her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, I already know that, but I'm mad at you that you didn't trust me to know it. And I was like, I was expecting kind of like, you know, the scene where he reveals it and she's like, oh, you know, it's like, it all makes sense now why you're gone. And I like still that she's like, no, she's still not okay with it because she's like, I knew, but also like you don't trust me. And then she finds out later like other people knew, and that ends up kind of getting resolved.
Yeah.
But it's like, I thought it was an interesting way to do that scene.
I liked it.
I liked it, but at the same time, it's like, you're 17 years old. Are you trustworthy with a secret at this level?
Granted, I mean, I'm not saying like what my opinion on that, because like, granted, I'm like, come on, like, are you serious? But also, it's interesting because also, would someone that age act that way? Yes, they would act that way. You know, that's how people are at that age. They get uberly offended because like you didn't trust me with that. And it's like,
you had to go to your job instead of hanging out with me. And it's like, yeah, I did have to go to my job instead of hanging out with you, and that's not a trust issue. That
you went to your 91-year-old grandma's birthday rather than hang out with me, and it's like, yes.
Catch the next one. Like, don't you understand how 91 works? There might not be a 92.
Yeah, there's like a 5% chance.
Yeah, Graham.
It reminds me like of The Office when Darrell was dating Kelly, and then Kelly's like, you need to decide, me or your daughter. And he's like, my daughter. And he's just really quick, and he's like not even paying attention. And then it's like, he always just says exactly what he wants. It's like, what kind of relationship is that? And it's like,
yeah, I see what they were trying to do with that scene, and I don't know how they could have pulled it off a little bit better. But there was a point where I was like a little over her, like being, I'm the smart one. I always know what's going on, and like I'm like, I get it. I know you do. I knew you knew, but like, I don't know how they do it differently.
What if it's a twist? What if she's like Lex Luthor?
And it could be.
And it's like, so she's had this secret identity the whole time, and it's gonna be like season 4 she drops that she's like actually Brainiac.
And you know, it could be. I've been like, the reason I knew was because I'm so hyper. His neurons are so thick it doesn't compensate. Are you calling us stupid? Yeah, I'm calling us stupid. Yeah, but I don't know. I see what they did, but at that point they had hit it over the head so many times. Where I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, let's have the fight. Let's do it, and let's get on with people beating the tar out of each other. But
I like that all the villains and the heroes always go to the same school, and usually in the same vicinity.
I didn't notice that. Yeah.
It's always the same. Like, it's always the same town. Everyone's just from the same area. I'm like, cool. Yeah. No, it's that. doesn't really happen too much in the show. But I mean, like, I was just thinking if she ends up being like, oh, she's actually some kind of Lex Luthor. I'm like, I'm glad that the most powerful person and the most powerful villain are always just at the same place. Like, it's weird. It's kind of like when you hear like two celebrities went to high school together.
Right.
It's like, how? Like, how did that even, like, isn't one enough? Like, you know how many schools are out there and there just happen to be like two at the same one? Like, it makes me really feel like this world is, well, the world is tiny, I guess. I guess that's what I have to learn.
Yeah, especially when you have superpowers.
Yeah. You can fly.
Like, you get superpowers, suddenly you're going to realize everyone in your neighborhood also also has superpowers.
You all got bit by spiders, too?
Yeah.
It's like, what do you know?
Those same spiders went on a bite rampage and got everybody that day.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you would have expected, like, a couple other people got bit by the same spiders in the same area.
Is it Spider-Gwen? There was a run where it's like, oh, actually, like, 2 other people got bit by that spider, and it gave them semi-different things. Whatever.
Okay, so that kind of makes sense then why the superheroes are always in the same area, because they're just getting affected by the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, of course, the spider, like, factory down the road that's like studying these spiders.
Can we close the spider factory?
Oh man, they really should stop studying spiders down there because they keep having leaks and it's not good.
Yeah.
Spider leaks.
They should be
Those words
happy
together
that
should never.
they should be happy that only the best of the people on the planet have ever gotten bit by a spider and became heroes. Because if someone like really bad got bit, oh man,
less responsibility. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess that's probably as good a point of time as any to wrap up. We've gotten our hour and a half.
Jeremy has a question for Darrell.
Oh, Jeremy wants to know what your favorite Digimon is.
My favorite Digimon?
Yes.
Off the heart, it's Gabumon. But Gazimon, Gazimon's probably my partner, but Gabumon's my favorite.
Nice.
Yep.
He's gonna like that answer.
I never watched Digimon.
Yeah. Hey, that was good. I did a couple of those. Oh yeah, for the Star Wars things too. So it's okay. We're even up.
Name a Stickmon at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's like Refrigerator Mon. He's my favorite. There's
No,
a Frigimon.
this is what happened. It was like, okay, Pokemon. I was younger, like, so it was like, I'm sitting there like kindergarten, and it was like Pokemon. And I was like, cool. And then it was like Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's cool. And they're like Digimon, and I'm like, okay, like, I'm not gonna keep going to my parents and ask them to buy all. I can't keep up.
Can't do
and
all the things.
especially since it's like then we got Pokemon, and then we have a kid in the school. It's like, that's the devil's work, and everyone's like, let's tear them up, and I'm like, what's going on?
So
Actual incident that did happen.
oh yeah,
That's insane.
of course.
the 3, and then I know we're doing the long Minnesota goodbye here, but the way I wrapped around it in my head as a child, Pokemon had the best games, Digimon had the best show, Yu-Gi-Oh had the best cards. Now that's all kind of flipped around a little bit, but back then, by far, Pokemon had the best game. Digimon was the superior show.
It was very good.
Yeah. They're like dealing with actual Trump. We're not doing the Digimon show. I swore I was going to stay off of it. I was doing so good. And then
Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 are like perfect.
Oh, period. Yep. Really good. Although the fusion between Anklemon and Angemon, and it turns into Shokomon or whatever, who's like, they could have done something way cooler with an angel and a dinosaur going together.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's like a Hindu like stone deity, so like I kind of get it because like, oh, it's a rock and an angel. What's a rock angel? They could have done a golem. There's so many things they could have done besides that. Fan art of it is so good, and that makes it too hard for me to watch sometimes, but whatever. Anyways.
Yeah, I think I'm just so far behind at this point with Digimon. But, if you said you were going to come on the show and not talk about it, don't feel bad. Because, like, I said I was not going to come back on the show unless I had something to promote. And that just did not happen at all.
This show isn't about promoting products. That's not how this show works. I don't come on here and talk about All Hallows Eve, the board game. All
available
the time.
now.
Available now, which is getting the final game released. I'm working on all my art right now, so by October for DeluCon, come in at the Mill Hill Mall. I will be selling that there, so it's going to be all polished and finalized by that point, and then I'll be moving on to expansions. I'm not going to say any of that while I'm here today.
I agree, and I've also very much refrained this entire time from talking about YouTube/user/Cinephile Studios.
Yeah.
And Daily Cinephile, link in the description, probably below, most likely, not on this episode. the one that posts on Monday. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about that because it's not like I have a bunch of upcoming movie reviews and podcasts and such to promote. I can't go to DeluCon this year because they asked me if I could do anything for DeluCon. And I was like, I'd love to do a panel. And I was like, gonna start planning, and I got excited. And I was like, I better check when the date of this is. And it's Friday, October 22nd this year. That's the day I get married. So
no,
that's
I was
what
like,
you can't miss.
yeah, right.
Or you show up in a tux.
Yeah.
Well, and I asked Stella, I was like, could I possibly like just go in between when before the wedding? I mean, the wedding's not until like a little in the
That's
afternoon. I was like,
thin ice, buddy.
yeah, it's only I thought about asking, and I was like, I better not, and no, so I can't go this year, and we didn't go last year because it was virtual, so it was like, I was on the Discord and tried my best to figure it out. I felt like such an old man trying to figure it out.
Me too. I was like, they're like, explain this to me, and I was like, well, I can kind of talk to this, but like people are coming in, so I'm kind of answering the same thing, and then like someone's confused, and they're like, well, I don't understand what you're talking about, and they leave. I'm like, but you weren't here for the beginning, so it was fine. I think they did the best under what they could do, and I do think that a lot of it worked out really well. I'm very happy it's in person though this year. I'll be doing a panel and selling some stuff. So, sorry that you won't be there because I'd have loved to have seen that. It
looks like it's gonna be at like the mall this year too. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, super cool. But year after I have ideas, but it was just like, oh man, I got to get married first, and then after that,
I took care of that.
He's like, I've got this charisma bubble I need to access.
Yeah,
just I'll free up some time after that. But no, it'll be cool in person. Like I said, it was my fault mostly with the Discord because I was like trying to figure it out, and I was like, wait, how do you look at the groups, and the messages pop up everywhere, and I'm like, here, and then I'm like, here's my link, and I'm like, did anybody see it? Like, did you see it? And should I send it again? Should I copy and paste? And it's sitting there 3 times, and I'm like, okay.
I think I did that. Yeah, I figured out Discord like a month later. It's like, oh, okay, now I see why I'm the idiot.
So speaking of Discord, Rise the Podcast has a Discord now. The link for that will be in the description.
Here we go.
So care of Swanky, he just doing all the setup on it, and I'm on there fairly regularly. But
nice.
It's again, I don't know anything about Discord either. So the fact that he's setting all the stuff up is mind blowing to me.
Well, so Rise of the Podcast. Yeah, you can find him on Twitter. Not really, though, because, I
tweeted once, 3 years ago.
Once. Yeah. Twitter's an awful platform to try to get people. And then, Instagram, which if you go on there, I'm, the only one who's, tagged you in anything.
Yeah, All Hallows Eve has done it a little bit, but I'm like, I don't know right now if it's time to be launching it. Yeah, but it's,
Instagram, I think it's been best for me, but Facebook, you guys it's probably been best for you on your end. But anyway, if we're wrapping up the show, how does he usually do it? Like mentioned, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and you can catch us every Saturday live at 7 p.m. and that's Central Standard Time. And
I've never said any of these things ever.
Well, he says these things, and then it's it pops up in the description below, and
Really, I don't I've been on 111 of these things.
Is this like the Bernstein Bears thing? Because I remember you guys having a outro too.
He said, if you enjoyed this episode, what do we say?
Yeah, comment, subscribe below.
This is my bit.
That's what you say.
So what I say is, if you made it this far of the episode, congratulations, you've made it to the end of the episode.
That's what it is, yeah.
Go ahead and give it a like if you want to see more content like this in the future. Also, comment down below with how you feel about any of the crazy topics we've had tonight. We want to carry on the discussion with you down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're not already. Ring the notification bell to be notified every time we go live. It's a fun time if you want to interact with us or upload a new video. By All Hallows Eve, check out the Daily Cinephile and Cinephile Studios. Check out Stuff Lab occasionally. They've got stuff out there too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course,
may the force be with you.
I was gonna sit silent because Kara's not here, so we were gonna sit 2 hours silent.
The dead eye fish roll.
Right, just wait for her to be here.
Gotta do the ending again.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I always screw up endings.
What's the?
I'm like J.J. Abrams in that way.
Oh, bye everybody.
Bye. Or Stephen King, really.
Oh, that too. Well, he's just more like.
Hey everybody, we are back. I just want to go into chat for a second here and say Canal de Picamole is from Brazil. Hello, thank you for joining us for this. Adam Sislo says, if I could have two things on a desert, one would be a knife, the other would be All Hallows Eve.
Yes.
Swanky says, Brad never goes up on the Discord. Way to shame him publicly. Jeremy says, hello. Adam says, still can't find any Digimon cards in stores. So I wanted chat to not feel like I was ignoring them as we were doing the weird ending, but thank you guys so much for watching, and I got to. Let's put another franchise
Force
under.
be with you.
May-
Oh, wait.
May the force be with
No, I
you.
did it now. Too soon?
Okay, bye.
Bye.